Hello everyone and welcome to my Season 10 Dance of Knives build guide. My name is Avarlin and this guide will take you from decimating enemies in the early game all the way to gigablasting endgame content with ease. I also have a written guide over at maxroll.gg. You can find a link to it in the description below. Season 10 offers an entirely new playstyle for Dance of Knives, which is far more powerful than the variant we ran in Season 9. We utilize the synergies between aspects of bursting venoms, aspect of contamination, and the unique item Scoundrel's Leathers to spam powerful poison traps through our Dance of Knives daggers. This means we do not focus on scaling the damage dealt by Dance of Knives itself, but instead focus on empowering our traps. It is not recommended that you try this powerful variation of Dance of Knives until you have these two aspects and unique item. Use the alternative starter variant in our written guide until you acquire these necessary items. This new trap-focused variant of Dance of Knives ignores most of the issues that we normally run into. We no longer play with an ultimate, as playing with one forces us to rely on clunky mechanics to reset it. We also no longer snapshot basically anything, which makes the playstyle incredibly fluid and smooth to play. But the best thing is that we are no longer target dependent, as Poison Trap hits all enemies in a large radius, making the build feel significantly better to play compared to what it did in Season 9. The traps spawned by the Bursting Venoms aspect count as costs for the Ahu Quacks rune word, which means we have a simple way of getting access to its massive damage boost and energy spend for barriers through Second Wind. These traps also reset our poison imbuement charges through Bands of Icarus Rose and the countering poison trap passive, meaning we have access to unlimited poison imbuement costs without investing into additional charges. Season 10 offers new seasonal powers that alter the way we build Dance of Knives. Power Siphon is a new chaos power that increases your core damage dealt by 100%, but reduces the maximum current resource by 20. You circumvent the negative part of this by triggering the poison trap through the bursting venoms aspect, and as long as you have not cast a core skill within 0.3 seconds, it will not trigger the negative effect at all. In order to benefit from this chaos power, you need to have the Scoundrel's Leathers equipped for poison trap to become a core skill. The Enervated Strikes was also changed in PTR, and it now increases your core damage dealt by 150% instead of giving the core skill tempering options that it had before. We also reset all of our cooldowns frequently with Accelerating Chaos as we play a high lucky hit chance build. The latter completely removes the need for preparation, which is why we instead run Inner Sight for more damage. Dance of Knives has a high base damage and easily takes you through the early game. The footage shown on the screen right now is in Torment 3 with no gear, basically no glyphs, no mercenary, and no seasonal power. I do have the Paragon board on to have a little bit of stats, but this is a significantly weaker character than you will have even early game. You want to make sure to get Aspect of Contamination on your weapon, as well as Aspect of Bursting Venoms on your amulet and the Scoundrel's Leathers unique as soon as possible in order to unlock the core functionality of this build. This should easily take you all the way to Torment Fall already, but make sure to look out for other powerful pieces, such as Fists of Fate or Bands of Icarus Rose, to boost your damage with poison traps even further. This build also has no rotation. You simply throw caltrops and smoke grenade on dangerous enemies to kill them faster. And you also have to make sure that poison imbuement is active at all times. Casting caltrops also triggers a free death trap from Scoundrel's Leathers, which pulls enemies around you on top of the caltrops damage boost. Until you get Bands of Icarus Rose, you probably should temper one piece of armor to have extra poison imbuement charges just to make the accidental spin cancels less painful. Staying alive in the early game means that you basically depend on Umbra's aspects like most other builds in order to get Dark Shroud stacks, but you also get damage reduction while enemies are trapped through Scoundrel's Leathers. Because we do not spend enough energy through quacks to sustain the barrier from Second Wind, we use Aspect of Siphoned Victuals to heal through potions instead. Unlocking the true endgame variation of this build requires you to have Fist of Fate as a Chaos armor on either your chest, pants, or boot slot with GA on the lucky hit chance. You also need to have Scoundrel's Leathers on any of the remaining slots. You do, however, need to have either chest or pants open for Umbra's aspect to keep Dark Shroud. Once you have the items listed in the planner, you are ready to play this variant to the fullest potential. The rotation changes slightly at this point, where you have to cast Poison Imbuement kind of frequently in order to top off your energy through enhanced Poison Imbuement. You do this because Ahuquax triggers basically once a second in AoE counters, which drains your entire energy constantly. Apart from that, you still drop caltrops and smoke grenades on dangerous enemies to group them up with the massive AoE damage this build deals. Staying alive at this stage of your gearing progression is basically automatic. You trigger the Ahuquax rune ward so frequently that you get a permanent barrier through second wind as long as enemies are below 80% HP. This means that the boss fights in very high pits leave you vulnerable to damage though, so make sure you play it a little bit safe until the boss reaches 80% HP, or until you damage boss adds to trigger this effect. Because you're now protected by a barrier most of the fight, we drop the aspect of siphoned victuals for more damage through mythic items and other chaos armor. You can find a full list of all skills, paragon, and aspects over the written guide at maxroll.gg, and this will be the most up-to-date version of this build. It is basically impossible for me to add all of the new updates to this build in a video guide format, so head over to that guide to find all of the most recent updates. The rest of this guide will show gameplay footage from the Season 10 PTR, where I piloted this build in different content. I hope this build guide helped you understand how to play this extremely powerful variant of Dance of Knives in Season 10. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, hit me up on the Maxroll community Discord or in the comment section below. Bye bye.